Hi vinyl community, it's Martin here. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for your subscribing. Thank you for your commenting, it's appreciated. And as Chris from Dixieland Farm was saying recently, I suppose that's what a lot of it is about. And well, this video was inspired by Rob Paniques. Hello Rob, a person that comments on many of my videos, and I hope you're doing all right over there in the USA, as so you should be. It's the weekend, and I know you love weekends. I've got this weekend off. Anyway, once or twice I've shown a book here, just a regular scrapbook, and it's got ticket stubs in it. So let's have a look at a double page and show some records. They're all 1990s, pretty much. So a bit of a retro story involved with a bit of research as well, actually. Anyway, without further ado, let's see who we have. Right, down here in the bottom left, probably can't see that, so there we go. The Bluetones Guildford Civic on in May 2000. So, Bluetones, a band. By 2000, I would say they were well. This is their first. This is 2 records I have by them, of which they came out. Let me see, about 95 maybe. And I beg your pardon, this was 2000. So I would say I bought this 12-inch of Mudslide EP because I'd been to the gig. So I would have got this from a record shop, although I can't remember where. It has a remix of Mudslide. It has a US version of Keep the Home Fires Burning, which I remember was a good song. I can't remember if it's on this album. Another track called Zero Tolerance, and another one called Fock, F-O-C-K, The Brain Hole. What do I remember about this gig? Not so sure I remember much about this gig. It's the album with embossed Bluetones on it, and it says it's limited to 5,000 there. Bluetones, I mean, it's a good album, this album, but there's a book in there as well, but I can't say that I've revisited that album much, to be brutally honest with you. It's I mean, what was that big hit called? Slow Return was that big hit. So I don't know that I've got much to say about that, so let's move on. Right. These are all ticket stubs that I haven't stuck in there. Anyway, right, now this next one needed some research. This one here. Now, I own no records by this band. I have their 3rd album. I saw them supporting Smashing Pumpkins once when they were doing their psychedelic phase. When they got onto their 3rd album, they were big. The lead singer is still big. He still puts out albums. So I just happened to try and guess on the internet, on a search, who could that have been? Who did I go and see in Aylesbury Civic Centre in July 1992 for £5? And it was the Verve. And I remember they were actually not even in the main Civic Centre hall. They were actually in a side hall with a long bar down the side called Aston Hall. And the ceiling was so low that he kept hitting his head on the top of it. This is the sort of a 1960s building, no longer there. Where I live, we have one place, a theatre, of which not many people play at. So the Verve, no records. I've got Urban Hymns on CD somewhere. I do not own the first two albums by them at all, and then I think they only had one more album from what I remember. Anyway, okay, here we go. Okay, this was a Sunday, I remember this one here, sorry. The Young Gods, and they played the Astoria, if I'm right, yeah. It was £7, and the guy I went with, I guess he wouldn't mind me saying, he's a sensible married man now, but he was always one of these people who would get injured somehow. And this gig, he got injured. He went crowd surfing or dancing or not fighting, and I think he cut his toe or something. He got patched up from what I remember, and it was a pretty good raucous gig from what I remember. Young Gods from Switzerland, or I think, yeah, Swiss. I have 2 records by them, which would have been the same time as the gig. So we have a 12-inch of Skin Flowers with an Orb style Brian Forrest remix on the B-side. Nice swirly pattern there. In contrast, the abrasive metal panels of something there on this album, which is called TV Sky, which is an excellent album with one very long track on the second side, nearly 20 minutes, called Summarize. Play It Again Records. Sorry, Play It Again Sam Records, and that pattern is on the inside as well. There we go. And that gig, from what I remember, we missed the train home, I think, and had to somehow get back the rest of the way, and I cannot remember. I think I got a lift or something. Anyway, that was that gig. Right, now, band here that are, well, they must be very big now, I'm guessing. Here is a band called Porcupine Tree. They played at the Nag's Head pub upstairs in High Wycombe. In, where are we? Oh, well, it was number 155, so there was a few people there. What is that? Oh, December 1993. I think I vaguely knew the guy that was working for the record company at the time. They were not a big record company. They had one guy doing everything, I think. A handful of guys, or one going into record shops and like pushing them. Delirium Records in Gerrards Cross. I have 2 albums by Porcupine Tree, nothing recent. I've got Up the Downstairs from 1993, and another great album from 1995. This is called The Sky Moves Sideways, blue vinyl with a poster. There you go, there's a telephone box like they used to be. So, that gig, well, I'm sure it was good. I'm not sure I can remember now, but yeah. Okay. Moving up, here we go. The Levellers at Brixton Academy, October 95. Standing. Those of you know Brixton Academy, or what it used to be like, it was sort of almost like a football terrace on the lower half. And I have 1 album by them, and then on my other videos I've mentioned that I met the singer by default in Finland, because he was standing at the gig the night before Spiritualized. Excuse me. So he's Levelling the Land, and that's the only album I have by them. That's from 1991. And this is a great album. I'm never really sure whether the Levellers are, well, I mean, some of these sort of new age travellers or whatever are pretty, or were pretty hardcore sort of people. So do they think that the Levellers are a bit have sold out, or were the Levellers just, exactly the same as them? I don't know. Anyway, I digress. I ramble. Next, Right. Sorry if this all seems a bit frantic, this video. Yeah, right, back to the book. Okay. Green ticket there. Oh, there we go. Smashing Pumpkins on Valentine's Day, 1992. £7 at the Astoria. The Astoria no longer there because it is I think it's going to be an entrance for a new railway station that is going underground across London called Crossrail. No doubt people will be very cross because it's a year late already. And I don't know if I've shown this before. This is my triple vinyl copy with slightly creased and slightly, I would say that's about 2 inches ripped corner there, this album, of which I do prefer the other 2 albums, debut and second album. But I've got this, and I'm not going to part with it, really. You know, whether you think it's hard work or whether you think it's an amazing classic album, I don't know. Comments, please. And that gig, that was a normal ticket gig, but I paid to see them, but I did get on the guest list, I think. I didn't look whether that was the Verve supporting on that one, but it could well have been. Okay, right. Okay, so those of you who watch my videos know the Church are probably my favourite band, and the first time I ever saw them, one of the first times I saw them, Concrete Blonde supported them. So here is Concrete Blonde from 1990. I didn't even remember I went to that. And this is a review by Ian Gittings. Rather an unfortunate name, being a Gittings. Yeah, I don't know whether I want to read this out or not, to be honest with you. It's slightly derogatory, Concrete Blonde. It suggests that they're a bit of a substandard Chrissy Hind, and in a true sort of journalist 1990s way, just compares them to people which you got paid for that. It's just shocking. And it suggests at the end, with a sing along with Gail and Dorsey, that it's a NAF Girls duet, and they'll fight on through Bloodletting, which I guess must have been released about then. I think I'm not showing these in the right order, am I? Right, okay. So first album. So when I saw them, I went back and bought the old albums by them. So this is a debut with the main one still in Hollywood, I think, or True. Self-titled on IRS. Probably got a home taping is killing music thing somewhere. I'm looking for the year 1986. There we go. She looks so different there. In fact, they all look so different. But I guess in 1986, everybody looked different. Then they followed it up with this one, Free. 1989. And there they are. And there she's gone. Where are we? There. There she is, the singer. Jonette Napolito. Yeah, that's how you say it, I'm sure. So that was her. That's what she's more known for looking like. Sort of gothic looking. Right. Then this. Well, is this probably known as that best album? I don't know, but anyway, Mr. Hall of Fame. Yeah, he's got a repress of this, I remember. So it must have been repressed. Vampires and such like on here. And the last album on vinyl I have is Walking in London from 1992, Ghost of a Texas Ladies Man. Not a good cover version of It's a Man's World, particularly, no. Walking in London. I mean, there's some good songs on here. Someday. Why Don't You See Me? Yeah. There they are. You can't quite make them out, maybe, but yeah, I've got a bit of glare on these sleeves. Right. Okay. So how are we doing? 15 minutes. Oh dear. Well, well done if you've stuck so far with me. On this other side, there's a few that aren't gigs. Well, there's Frank Skinner, who was a comedian. Pete McCarthy, an author, and wrote for Smith and Jones, I think. I went to a book reading of his. Harry Hill is still known, mostly for You've Been Framed in the UK. Right, Godfathers. I own no records by the Godfathers, and I don't remember that gig anyway. So here we have Throwing Muses. Now, this was at the Grand in Clapham. I remember they were going through if I'm right, there was one gig, I went to see them, and they were standing on the stage, and they had like a very comfy Chesterfield or material based armchair, and one of these long standard lamps with a big lampshade on it. What that was about, I don't know. But Throwing Muses, and another band I'll talk about in a minute, very good band, you know. And I only have one album by them, and I've got it here, The Real Ramona. And it's on 4AD, isn't it? Yeah, it's on 4AD. And there they are on the back. And this woman in blonde here, that's Tanya Donnelly, isn't it? I think. You know what? I almost can't remember now. So it is. Yeah. Christian Hirsch, Fred Ablong, David Narciso, and Tanya Donnelly. So, Tanya Donnelly brings me on to this concert. A band who I went to see 2 years ago. They did 2 albums then. King was the second album. Very underrated. Don't have it on vinyl. And then they've also brought out an album in the last couple of years as well. And from what I remember, Star by Belly was, for 1 week in the UK, a #1 album, I think. Yeah, I think it was. And this is a great album. And I play this quite a bit, actually. You know, those sort of bands that you now want to go and see again. Maybe not just for nostalgia, but because you really still like them. You know, even if they haven't done anything new. I mean, I'll probably go and see Spiral Carpets again because they're a great live band. Yeah, but there's not. I suppose my favourite bands I would see, the Church, I would always try and go and see. But this next band, the last one of this, coming up to 20 minutes now. There we go. Soul Asylum, June 1995. And I think this is when I got some backstage things from the Sony record rep that used to come to our shop, I think. And I went with a mate, and we were with some girls we met there. And I think my mate, I was talking about this with him quite recently. I think he went backstage with the person he was with. Although I cannot remember now, but a supporting band, this is when a record label puts two bands together that don't really go, but they're on the same label. The band that supported Soul Asylum was Cast. Not a bad band, but for most people in this particular period of time, or the whole, grunge that have become commercial, I don't know that they would have been into Cast. But then it was 1995, and that was what was happening and changing, and then grunge was gone from the mainstream. All I can find is from 1995 a single on a white 7-inch, String of Pearls on the B side and Misery on the A side, and that's it. That is all I have by Soul Asylum. I had the big album, but I haven't got it anymore. One of quite a few, whichever I see it, I think, do I want that again, or was there a reason I got rid of it originally? I don't know. Anyway, I hope those 2 pages of ticket stubs and records from mostly the mid-90s was interesting. Let me know what you think, please, in your comments, and I will watch you in your videos. It started to build up again. There's about a couple of dozen videos, or even more, that I'd need to catch up and watch. So I will be commenting, though. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good weekend, or week, or whenever you watch this, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye.